I'm going to go over Palantir, Tesla, and Skills on the 5-minute time frame and show you price targets for Friday. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Palantir. We ended the day at $24.51, up more than 3.8%. The day's low, $23.32. The day's high, $25.06. This is where we ended. To the north side takes us back to the middle of the trend and resistance and a potential take profit area, 26.33. Above that at 2 standard deviations and another level of resistance and potential take profit area, 28.48. And should we be so lucky to get here in one day from where we are, that would be $29.57. I am not holding my breath on that one, but I will anticipate it going from -2 to 2 standard deviations. Now to the south side, this right here is VWAP. So we are at 24.41, and the other price target, so that's a level of resistance, and then another level of resistance, 24.23. And below that I will be tracking is 23.11. That would be considered support and a potential buy-in area. If we get to this level, and this level, I may purchase some and potentially try to ride it up. And I did sell some shares recently, and I tried to sell some today as well, but it did not hit my target. So I will probably change it to 28.43. And right now I'm thinking that we are at support, so we could see a turnaround on Friday. But because the stock has run up because of earnings and a great earnings report, I'm not really sure. So I'll be tracking this very closely with the help of the indicators. Now, I will flip this to the 15-minute time frame and mark out some of these lines. This was an old price target that I have been tracking since August. All right, we hit that today. So congratulations if you made some money off of Palantir. It's been a struggle with Palantir. We've been all over the map. And finally, some good news after earnings. Now, that's done. This is an area where I bought and sold previously. And this area I sold on the 5th, and I didn't re-up my limits because sometimes I'll set them the night before and I get so busy, and you should always be checking them because things will move up fast because of wicks or gaps. And then if you read the charts, you could move your limits as well according to the charts. But I didn't do that, but that's okay because I have a lot of shares. And again, once we hit a certain target, I will take more profits. Okay, this is an old buy-in, as I mentioned here, and then I sold here. And then this line from previously, I sold at 20.85, but I bought in at some other level here. I'll have to clean up my charts for my own personal trades, but for the gaps that are still in play, right here. Oops. So in addition to the price targets that I gave on the way to the south side, when we go down, because we will always go down to potentially go back up again, but this would begin at 1986, close out at 1671, and then there's this gap, a smaller one that let me take and extend this one. We have not hit that one. When there are gaps within gaps, it gets kind of confusing. So I'll move this extended out so I'll be able to see it. And then this one will take us down to 1397. I am more of a buyer down in this range, so it's getting too rich for me. I also have shares down here in the 1070 range. And then there's another gap to the south side here that closes out at roughly 1024. And zoom out to the daily, the weekly, and the monthly, and you can look for other potential gaps to the south side. All right. Oops, Command Z, let me undo that. And the new price target, because again, we have met our target at 1879, and then I tracked it to 25, and now the next one I will be tracking to is at $30. It's going to take a long time to get there, so don't hold your breath, but that is the potential upside after this. And for the week, we are up 51%. For the month, 48%. For the year, up 197%. Back to the 5 minute. Yeah, I'm not a buyer here. I'm a buyer all the way down into this range because I like the gaps. The next one I'm going to go over is Tesla. I want to thank a viewer named Marat for pointing this one out to me. He says the MACD has crossed 2 lines on the daily chart, so I'll get to that in just a moment. But first, your levels for Friday. We are right here. To the north side takes us to, let me move this one more hair over. There we go. Takes us to the middle of the trend where price always goes through to get to the upside or to the downside. In this case, to the upside at 191.53. This is resistance and a potential take profit area. 194.11 and 195.37. To the south side, 188.97. Oh, and don't forget, VWAP is basically right here. Oh, we're still in after hours trading, so it just moved. But right here, 189.22 happens to be VWAP as well as the level for after hours trading right now. All right, so to the south side here, 188.95. Another level of support and potential buy-in area, 187.65. And then just for giggles, I put in another linear, smaller window here just to track movements and other levels. I always talk about different levels within -2 and -2. Again, you can put on your Bollinger Band, you can draw your trend lines, you can do your VWAP, you can do another linear within a linear, your Fibonacci. There's just too many. It gets so confusing. So if you're a new trader, just learn one thing and stick with it for a little bit and get the hang of it. All right, let's talk about these gaps. This one touched right here. So we are done with this 188.86 business here. So congrats if you were down here and rode it all the way to there. And that one started at 185.33. Then there was this gap that also touched. So we are done. That was a double gap. We gapped down for a gap up. So that was a very strong gap. 2 gaps to the upside. So for me, that's like a huge magnet going upward. And note the upward channel on the 5-minute time frame, nice and strong, higher highs, and that's nice to see. So resistance, sell-off, resistance, sell-off, resistance, sell-off, sell-off at a buy-in at support, support, and a bounce. So now we are at support again. So I anticipate a bounce, but it's getting higher and higher. There's going to be a crack to the downside. What else can I draw out? All right, let me show you this one that I have tracked, this gap to the downside. I have not made my drawings in a while for Tesla, but know that I always look at it, even though I'm not charting it out on camera or making a recording here. So this went to the downside and closed at 183.45. Delete. Okay, that was all the way up here. We went down, up, and then boom, down. And Tesla, if you look at my old videos, we have many gaps to the south side, but don't be alarmed because it makes a good swing trade. But if you're investing and then you're buying and then looking the other way, well, it's painful. But this is nice if you like to swing up and down, get in, get up, and get out. All right. So that will take us down to 145.43. I don't know why I marked out the 144. I think that might have been an old price target that we met. Maybe. Well, let me just go to the 30. Oh, I just drew this as a trend line at -2 or 2 or the middle of the trend for myself. So I'll just delete that. Reset this, Control R if you're on the Mac. And let me flip this to the daily. All right, this does look like a hot mess, but I know exactly what has happened. So this is -2, this line, and this line is 2 standard deviations, and we are right here. So on the daily, to the south side takes us to roughly 183.08, and at -2 standard deviations, roughly 148.50. So this is at 143.45. So close. And then obviously other gaps. But I don't know if we're going to get to 80. If we do, yeah, that would be weird. All right. The MACD has crossed to the upside, so yay, that's a good signal. You know, the double cross here, and then we crossed here, and then crossed to the downside here. I mean, check out the MACD and the RSI to help you kind of figure out where we're going and where we've been. So we've got a crossing over here, and then note, you know, you can't expect it to stay up here without tanking. You're going to have relief and a pullback and going sideways and consolidating and barcoding. That's just normal. And monthly, look at that huge run up here, huh? Of course there's a crash. What goes up must come down. What goes down won't necessarily get back up again, but sometimes you have to get down to get back up. So let me take this back to the 5-minute. Again, check the RSI as well, but I'm going to move on now to skills. This video is getting long. This is a trade I hit a sell limit. Okay, ignore these lines. I bought in here. This is old support and resistance, -2 to -2, the middle, and 2. Sometimes I mark it out that way as well. Okay, and this cloud looking thing is VWAP. This is a linear within a linear. I know it does look confusing. All right, let me go through what I set this sell limit. I set it days in advance sometimes, or when I make the order, and then I forget to go back to it, or I'll change it, but don't look at it within the day. And that is a mistake. So if you sometimes can micromanage, you can do better, but I did not. And we ended the day at $6.18. So right about here. All right, so that's where we ended. I'll give you some levels. To the north side, 640 and 654. Okay, I'm no longer in these trades. The pink lines are my buy-in lines, but I've sold those a long time ago, I'm pretty sure. So, because pink for me, when I grid this out, is my buy-in, green is my sell. So that's how I keep myself organized. Okay, those are your targets to the north side, and obviously you can go out to 4 standard deviations, but I don't anticipate we get there, and if we do, that's lovely, but after that, it will crack. Okay, after this going up to the middle of the trend takes us back down to 612. That's a level of support and a potential buy-in area, 584 and 570. All right, so looking at this, the middle of the trend here, excuse me, this is VWAP at 612. Wait, is that right? Yeah, why doesn't that show up though? That's kind of weird. It's right here. Okay, we're in post right now at 617. And then if you play the smaller linear, here are your targets. Well, we're very close to that. So let me just take you up. So one level of resistance within this -2 and 2 is 632. And then this is the middle of the trend at 617. And then to the south side, 602. So VWAP is 612. To the north side of VWAP is this line here. So that would be the upper channel 621 and the southern channel 604. Tons of levels in between. I don't really play them. I track them. I do -2, the middle, and 2. But if you're down here and you want to ride up to here and get off the gravy train, that's a conservative way to play it. So down here and then get off. You could buy in here and then ride it up to the next level and get off. Or play here and then roll the dice. Okay, what else? All right, so we're down here at support and a buy-in up here, close to resistance here, and we tank down. Oh, I see a gap. And if you don't want to see the gaps, switch it over to this and it'll make your candles less messy. All right, let me mark this out so I know the potential. We gap down. Let me turn on my magnet. Okay, so I'm going to anticipate this will close out tomorrow at 623. I will be shocked if it doesn't. Oh, look at this green. Oh, I did sell. Oh, I was going to say, I got to sell and reset my limit to up here to 640. But oh well, see, you lose money. You set some on the table, but that's okay. I'll take my win and don't cry about it. And then it looks like there's a gap to the downside here too, but this will be taken out if we go down to -2. I am no longer a buyer up here. I don't buy high and sell higher. Not my thing. I'm out, and I will wait for it to go down here because there are plenty of trades I could get involved in that I get excited about. All right, note the bounce here at support, sell off at close to resistance. And for my trade today, I am up. Turn off the magnet. Right here, I sold out 631, and then I bought in at what price? 644. Double click that. So, yep, I'm up 16% on this trade. Okay, and there were some gaps that closed out. I've tracked this for myself. I don't know why my gap got wonky there. All right, that's it. So again, I'm no longer a buyer at this level. I'm going to let it ride and then wait for it to tank or rest and then possibly go back up again. But the 1-year price target is 1050. We are a long ways off from that. Don't hold your breath, but that's a 69% return on your money. That does it for me. Thank you so much for watching.